Hi class! Today we're looking at Chapter 5, Lesson 1, Percents, Fractions, and Decimals. So if we're thinking about the number 1/2 or half of something, we can write it as a percent. That would be 50%. A fraction, which would mean 1 out of 2, or a decimal, which would be 0.5. So let's start out by identifying what a percent is. A percent is a rate per 100. A rate per 100, so out of 100. So looking at writing 21 out of 100 as a fraction, a decimal, or a percent. The fraction, it would be 21 out of 100. A decimal, you're just going to do 21 divided by 100 equals 0.21. Or as a percent, 21%. This is a visual picture to show you out of 100 blocks, only 21 are filled in. 21 out of 100. So that's a good visual. So to write a decimal as a percent, you can multiply the decimal by 100. That's all you have to do. So here we have writing a decimal as a percent. So if we take 0.759 times 100, we get 75.9%. Multiply 0.003 times 100, that's going to equal 0.3%. Notice that when we're multiplying these, it really is just that we're moving the decimal point 2 places. So you don't actually have to use a calculator, but you're welcome to if you'd like. So this is going to be 518.7%. Okay, you try these next 3 on your own. Press pause, come back to me when you're done. Okay, so you should have got 60.7%, 0.5%, and 928.3%. Let's now look. To write a percent as a decimal, you divide by 100, or move the decimal point to the left 2 places. So we're doing just the opposite of what we did before. So 47.5 divided by 100 is going to equal 0.475. So that is turning it into a decimal. 0.06%, right? We divide it by 100, or we're just moving the decimal point 2 places to the left, is going to equal 0.0006. And this last one, 2,500%, 2,500%, right? You don't have a decimal point in this one, so that means that it's over here. Move it 2 places to the left, or divide by 100, and that's going to equal 25. And you could put 25.0 if you wanted to, but you do not need to. Okay, so go ahead and try these next 3 on your own. Press pause, come back to me when you're done. Okay, so for A, you should have got 35, B, 0.125, and C, 0.0078. Okay, so turning percent into a decimal, divide by 100. If we're turning a decimal into a percent, multiply by 100. Now we're going to look at fractions, writing fractions as percents. So let's look closely at this one. In a slice of pizza, 45 calories are from fat. The total number of calories in each slice is 158. About what percent of calories are not from fat? Round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So the first thing we have to do, find the number of calories not from fat. So we had to take these two numbers and subtract them. 158 subtract 45. And that equals 113. So 113 out of the original 158 is equal to about, so they just estimated here where they're rounding it. 113 is close to 120, 158 is close to 160, which is about 3/4 or 75%. To get the 75%, we could just divide 3 divided by 4 equals 0.75. And right, we know that that is the same as a percent. So now we need to write the ratio. So we have 113 over 158. So we could just divide it to find out, is this close? Is our estimate close? And so when we divide that, we get 0.715. So this is in decimal form. To write it as a percent, we move the decimal point over 2 places. That's what happened here. And then round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So that equals 71.5%. So about 71.5% of the calories are not from fat. Is that a reasonable? Yes. 71.5 is pretty close to 75. So if we look at this, write 21 out of 40 as a percent. Round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So if we just take 21 divided by 40, we get, I should write that there, 21 divided by 40 equals 0.525. So this is a decimal. We want to turn it into a percent. So when we do decimals into percents, we multiply by 100, or we move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So that means our percent is going to be 52.5%. Okay, so I did that by multiplying by 100 or moving the decimal 2 places to the right. Okay. So, writing percents as fractions. To write it as a fraction, you'll want the denominator of 100 and then simplify. So, an elephant slept about 12.5% of each day. What fraction of each day did the elephant sleep? So all we're going to do is take 12.5 and put it over 100. Our next step, we are going to simplify. So 12.5, I know that 12.5 goes into 100. So if we divide the top by 12.5 and the bottom by 12.5, we get 1 over 8. So the fraction is 1/8. They spend 1/8 of their day sleeping. Okay? Go ahead and try this next one on your own. An elephant eats 6% of its body weight each day. Write a fraction in simplest form. So go ahead, put it over 100 and then simplify. Press pause, come back to me when you're done. You should have got 3/50. 3 out of 50. That is the fraction in our lowest terms. Okay, so now ordering rational numbers. Write them all in the same form in order to compare. So we have 0.52, 37%, 0.19, and 1 out of 400. So let's go ahead and just do them all as a decimal. So this one is going to stay the same, 0.52. Turning a percentage into a decimal, we are going to take 37 and divide by 100. Therefore, we're going to get 0.37. Then we have 0.19. To turn this fraction into a percent, all we do is divide the top by the bottom. So 1 divided by 400 equals 0.0025. Okay, so now we can compare. And they want us to put them least to greatest. Okay, so our least, our very littlest one, is going to have the most zeros. Not that necessarily the most zeros, but so the biggest, I guess let's look at the biggest first. So none of them have a number in the 1 spot, right? So that's not helping us. A number in the 10th spot, we have a 5, a 3, a 1, and a 0. Well, we can just look right at those and know then that this one is the biggest because 5 is the biggest number. So it's going to be over here, 0.52. And then the next one is going to be the 3. So that means that 37% is the next smallest. And then, I'm working backwards here, the 1 is the next smallest. That was originally in decimal form. And our smallest, 1 out of 400. That is our answer. So you go ahead and try the next 2 on your own. Come back to me when you're done. Okay, so I chose to turn them into decimals. So you can see right here is where I turned each of them in. I took 3 divided by 10, got 0.3, kept this one the same, multiplied or divided this one by 100, got 0.29, took 11, divided it by 25, got 0.44. And then I made sure I marked up here so my answer has the original numbers, not my decimal points. Okay, and then this next one, same thing, right? I turned them all into decimal points. And then I realized this is my first one, second, third, and fourth. Okay, so today, boys and girls, your homework is page 179, number 1 through 29 odd. Happy homeworking!